The barbell row is one of the best ways for you to grow a strong and thick back. It's got a clear path forward for progressive overload, meaning that it's simple enough for you to do right, but it's also effective enough to consistently give you rewards time and time again. But although it may seem simple and it's just a matter of adding more weight and getting my repetitions in, more often than not, I'm seeing a lot of people struggle, not with the effort they're putting in, nor the programming, but it's their setup and the way that they carry themselves through the movement that really holds them back. So what would be the first step in making sure that we actually do an effective row? Well, that would be the hinge. The hinge is going to be the foundation of the exercise and also the setup. So the better your hinge, the more stable and the more range you're going to have access to. But why is range important? Well, if you're standing really tall and you're not hinging at all, what's going to happen is the chest won't be able to lower down to the ground, and we're going to result in maybe like a really high row, maybe even a shrug for a lot of people, and they're not going to be able to do a lot of weight, nor is their range of motion going to be quite long. If anything, it's going to be really restricted. So if you're hinging deep, it allows you to keep a really stable center of mass over your base of support. This is basically just balancing over your feet, and it lowers the chest down horizontally as a byproduct of a really deep hinge. And it's here you're going to unlock a much, much longer and also productive row. But what is a productive row now? Well, with that longer range, the shoulder blades are able to wrap around the rib cage. This is basically protracting around, and this lowers the barbell closer down to the ground, which is extending your range of motion. And it's when we begin to extend the range of motion and we stretch the back out and we begin our repetitions is where the magic happens, because we're going to be including things like our lats, our upper and our lower traps, our rhomboids, and it's here that we can really squeeze and contract and really begin to develop a sensation in our back that we maybe haven't gotten in the past. So grip choices are going to be the caveats that decide whether you're biasing certain muscles in the back. There's three. You could go an underhand, a neutral, or an overhand. I tend to just do underhand and overhand. They seem to be quite productive for me. Underhand's going to do a little bit more of the lower back, which tends to be sometimes a hard to get to place when training back, or it has been for me anyway. I've also lacked the ability to feel my back, like gather a sensation in my back like I'm using it, or I can feel the muscles working as if it's like a bicep curl or something. So when doing underhand, I've really been able to grab onto a feeling, and I encourage you to as well. In a lot of exercises you do, grab onto a feeling when you feel it work and try and use that as like a lighthouse or a beacon and search for that every time you do the exercise. And this is what's going to develop that mind-muscle connection. It's going to help you recruit more muscle fibers and overall just get a better experience, get a more productive result from the exercises that you are doing. Overhand grip, I like to keep them out nice and wide and pull really wide, like this elbows out horizontal. Tends to do a lot more of the upper back, the upper traps. When I do my underhand, I like to turn my elbows to face away as much as I can and keep my elbows tucked in nice and close to my body. They'll want to pop out like this. Try and keep them in like that, and you're going to recruit a lot more of that middle back. I would do 4 sets each week. I would do around 8 sets of barbell row a week, 2 sessions of 4 sets. In those 4 sets, I would do 2 underhand, 2 overhand. If you're doing like 2 sets or 3 sets of barbell row a week, I suggest getting a lot more into it. Can't really expect to grow off 2-3 sets a week. And if you're doing an odd number amount of sets, say 3 sets, and you're doing 2 underhand, 1 overhand, on the next session, just get 2 overhand, 1 underhand, just even distribution of sets and reps. So the weight is not going to matter with this movement so much as well, like it doesn't really matter with a lot of movements, because at the end of the day, it's the movement that's important. The weight's just there to provide a stimulus. So if we adapt to a certain stimulus or to a weight, to a response of an exercise, then we just add more weight to be able to provide a new experience and a new stimulus to the body to adapt to. So if you're really struggling with these barbell rows, just reduce the weight. We shouldn't be yanking that bar up, losing our hinge and going into this hyperextension with our upper body. We should be keeping a nice stable hinge and just rowing that barbell up and down. So if you're really struggling and having to yank that barbell up, just drop the weight. it's quite a hard exercise. There's nothing wrong with dropping the weight, and it's in that moment when we drop the weight we become a little bit more humble in our approach to exercise. Is that we begin to train properly because we're meeting ourselves where we're at, and that's one of the most important things when it comes to exercise or anything really, is just meeting yourself where you're at, because it's the quickest way that we can progress. If you know where you're at and you know the clear steps forward and you can incrementally step those out because you're at literally the starting block, then you're going to do well. 1 week of lighter than usual training is going to serve you much more than if you were doing 1 week of too much and you've either injured yourself or you've gotten too tired or you haven't felt it in the right way, but you're overly fatigued for no reason. So just do it properly. And do it well, and that's the basis of training. So I've got some free resources down in the description if you want to get your feet wet. I also do one-on-one coaching, so if you're interested in affordable weekly coaching for training and nutrition, I've also got a link for that. Happy training.